everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom and here we are in the international break. 17 games gone in the Championship. No games to report on, so I thought I'd do a ranking video for all the managers in the Championship. So in a minute I'm going to be ranking them based on how I think they're doing this season. Obviously this is all opinion and all a bit of fun, so you may agree with some, you may disagree with some. Feel free to keep the debate going in the comments. Just remember though, keep it nice and polite, and if you do disagree with me, tell me why. Don't just say, I support so and so, my manager should be higher. Let me know why, and let me know why in relation to other managers, because that's the thing. Are they doing better than the other managers around them? Let's start down at the bottom, and sad to say I have in 24th spot Mr. Jos Luhukay of Sheffield Wednesday. So until the 0-0 draw at Bramall Lane this past Friday, everyone thought Luhukay was a dead man walking. He may have given himself a stay of execution. They're on the slide. All their wins seem to have been picked up in easier games earlier in the season. They have the joint worst defence in the league, in 17th position, trending downwards. And like I say, Luhukay only seems another couple of defeats away, and it's going to be Luhukay out, Luhukay's getting fired. So someone has to be bottom, and Luhukay it is. In 23rd, representing Bolton Wanderers, Phil Parkinson. Bolton have slipped down to 23rd due to 3 wins in the first 4, still holding their heads above water, and the fact that Ipswich have been obviously totally horrific. 1 win in 13 for Parkinson, and the issue is I saw them play at Villa a couple of weeks back, or I don't know, 10 days or so ago, and it looked like there was a plan and the players were following the plan, and it still wasn't working. So either some bad players there out of their depth, or someone in need of some new ideas. Certainly not working for Parkinson, and they need to turn that around there. 22nd, Paul Clement of Reading. I've seen Reading a few times this season, including this past weekend. They don't appear to have changed much since last season, and we go back to the famous quote of the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Reading were right in it until the last day. Not much change in personnel. I think attendance is dropping a little bit more. I don't see what he's doing that's different to kind of keep them out of there. They seem a bit of a soft touch, so tight games don't seem to go their way. Horrible home record, although they do have this guy Maite up front who sometimes it can just take a goal-scoring striker to push you up the table a little bit. They're currently in 20th, but they're in that mix of teams on 16 points. So, needs a bit of a surge for Clement to stay in there. Will he last until the end of the season? Number 21 in 21st place, Nigel Adkins of Hull City. A wonderfully David Brent-like character. And look, I know some people would say he should be number 1 for the fact that he works for Hull and it's a tricky club to kind of navigate as manager. They are in the relegation zone. They had a horrible run of 8 defeats in 11 earlier in the season. Banked on people like Elphick and Martin, who were both at Reading towards the end of last season. They seem to be the go-to guys for relegation teams. Upwards trend over the past 3 games, so I could change my mind if that continues. I think he's going to be very reliant on Jared Bowen and Fraser Campbell, but at the moment he needs to up his game, as does my number 20, Mr. Lee Johnson of Bristol City. They are bang in the middle of the table. They're in 12th place, so you might think this is quite harsh, but I don't really see where they're going. I know I said it was based on this season, but Johnson has been there a fair while and there's been a fair bit of money spent on him, and that will be in the owner's thoughts there. And as usual, his teams are wildly inconsistent in terms of selection and results. Already this season, we've had 4 straight wins, 2 straight wins, as well as 4 with no wins and 5 with no wins, and a current run of 3 straight defeats. They did lose Reed, Flint and Bryan. Okay, that is a big mitigating factor. But he was given money. 10 million went on Webster, Vyman, Hunt, Isa and Watkins. So I think they're going to need more than 12th place. And I think other managers would quite fancy that job as well. I think a good one to go into if they get the right guy. In 19th, pains me to say this, but Neil Harris of Millwall. And last season's brilliance does work a little bit against him because they've just not been able to get away from the bottom 3 this season. A few sort of false starts where I thought, oh, here you go, Millwall, up they go. And it just hasn't happened and they're still down there. The worry I've got is they haven't really been able to replace an ageing Morrison. He can't start every game, important player, and Saville in midfield. They keep waiting for this surge up the table and it hasn't come yet. 18th, bit of a funny one, Thomas Frank of Brentford. He's only had 5 games, so I can't put him too low down. Everyone deserves a few games before they get judged, don't they? I can't put him too high, though, because he's lost 4 out of the 5, which is not great at all. Hopefully he'll get them moving soon. We know Brentford in past seasons have gone very, very streaky, so we'll see whether that carries over. And in 17th, for the same reason, no hint of bias here, Paul Lambert of Ipswich. And by the way, if I was doing every manager that has worked in the Championship this season, Paul Hurst would be well bottom. I'm not bumping up an Ipswich guy. He's only had 2 games, so again, hard to judge. He hasn't lost either, he hasn't won either. Seemingly positive impact, but we just won't be able to tell whether he's going to go up or down in my estimations from 17th. Ipswich need results though over anything else, so 5 points adrift of safety. We will see how it goes for Lambert. Bit more meat on the bone for Paul Cook, number 16, Paul Cook of Wigan. A lot of credit for the fact that they're a League One team, come up to the Championship, and also a lot of credit for their stunning home record. However, he's only doing half the job because the away record is not there at all, and they're badly on the slide. There were £3 million plus signings, and other teams down the bottom have not spent that money. So they would hope not for a relegation battle. They're not down there just yet, but they're heading in that direction if things don't change. 15th, Alex Neil of Preston. He would have been right down the bottom 8 games ago. In fact, he probably would have been bottom. Oh no, Paul Hurst would have been bottom. He would have been right down the bottom. With Preston leaking goals in the bottom 3, 23rd for a long time. But he made them a good side last season. Very energetic, very hard to play against. And now they are 7 unbeaten, tighter at the back and in really good form. 2 points per game from the last 6 games as well. Climbing the table towards the high standards of last year. And it takes a good manager to arrest the slide. We know that. 14th, Gary Rowett of Stoke. On the negative side for Rowett, a lot of people will look at Stoke and say, core blimey, look at that squad. They've got loads of really good players. They should be really high in the table. Maybe they should in an ideal world. But Rowett has had a real sorting out job to do there. They kind of collapsed towards the end of their Premier League run there. And I think people are expecting a slow climb, and it is happening. Just whether it's going to come for them too late this season. I've criticised Rowett before for being a little bit lacking ambition and a bit pragmatic, a little bit stiff, but lots of very good Championship talents in there, and they'll be consistent, and I think they'll climb as we go. And Rowett, will he finally get the chance to prove himself in this division now? Big reputation, seemingly. Rug pulled out from him at Birmingham, but didn't really do it at Derby. Good chance this for him at Stoke. In 13th, Dean Smith, now at Aston Villa. Started the season at Brentford, so I've got to kind of judge that and say they had a really good start. And although the drop-off did kind of start while he was still there, I think the day the Villa job became available, that was when the Brentford drop-off started, and it's been a lot worse since he left them. Very unsettled there at Brentford. Only 5 games in at Villa. I saw them playing against Bolton. It looked like they were getting onto something. And then, wow, next game away to Derby, 3-0 victory. So that's put the optimism right up for Villa fans. More of that, and they're going to climb right up into those playoff positions, and so will Smith climb my rankings. No doubt he'll go ahead of number 12, Graham Potter of Swansea, who's new to English football. He's learning the Championship as he goes. He's been caught out a couple of places. Few mistakes, but seemingly quite adventurous and quite fun to watch Swansea. Back into the mould they used to be before their sort of Bob Bradley experiment in the Premier League. They're currently in 8th place, which is a decent place to be. You can build on that. 2 points off the playoffs. Decent recruitment. Youngsters playing like Daniel James, who I'm a big fan of, and Rodden at the back. Bonnie and Montero both returning as well. So if he builds, up they're going to go. 11th, Aitor Karanka, Nottingham Forest. He came in January, still with a reputation for being a bit of a sulky pants at Middlesbrough, had that flounce off there, and also quite a defensive coach. It was all built on clean sheets there at Borough, but he did get them up a couple of seasons ago, 15, 16 I guess it would have been. Not quite into the playoffs, but only 2 defeats means a reasonable job being done there. There has been money spent though, which is why I haven't got him higher. Graben, Sudani, Figueiredo, and a hell of a lot of money on Carvalho. I would suspect 7th place would not be deemed good enough come the end of the season, given the spend there. So he may need a pick up there. Here comes my top 10. In 10th, Tony Mowbray, Blackburn. Again, I've got to give credit. It's a League One team coming up, and they're in 9th position, which is great. Very well organised. Whenever I do my predictions, I think, oh, they're going to drop off now. They're going to drop off. But they don't. They come right back again. I think a top 10 finish and holding on to star man Bradley Dack would be a triumph on both counts there for Mowbray. Nice and steady. No noise from there. Good job by Mogger. In 9th, the last one that I promoted, Paul Warne, Rotherham. Okay, bear with me. I know Rotherham are low down in the league, but you have to look at Rotherham in comparison with literally every other club in the Championship. Without sounding patronising, they're a small team. They've spent nothing. They have a small stadium. Last time they were up, they got bugger all points. They're the lowest ranked team, as in they came from the playoffs last year, and they're doing pretty good. They play unapologetically as underdogs. They say, okay, you got more money than us, you might have better players. We're going to sit back. You try and beat us. Oh, and by the way, if we get a set play, we might score past you. And that has worked 4 times for them this season. 4 wins there and a great 5-game undefeated streak. They're really good at home as well. If they finish 19th, where they currently stand, that would be a great job by Paul Warne. 8th, Garry Monk, Birmingham City. Look, Birmingham were given a transfer embargo at the start of the season and then immediately signed a left-back, a Danish left-back, Pedersen. So they're still under the threat of a points deduction. So with all of that crap floating around in the background, I think Monk's done a really good job here. He's built a really steady team. It's very consistent, not many changes each week, not much depth beyond that. So they're performing, I think, quite high up to their potential here. It's perfect for the Championship. They've got big guys at the back. They've got people who can look after themselves in midfield. They've got attacking flair down the sides. And Prey, a manager who plays a front 2, and they're both scoring. Jukovic and Adams both amongst the goals here. I've made it known on my reviews and predictions that I think the front 2 will start making its way back in the next 18 months. They've had a brilliant run as well. They were the form team for a while, Birmingham, and it's only a bit of a draw-heavy start that's keeping them out of the top 8. Number 7, Frank Lampard of Derby County. Obviously, all the non-Championship kind of followers, this is the big story for them, the big name, Frank Lampard. It's his debut season, and being a big name like that and being in Derby as well, there'll be people sitting there waiting for him to fail. So lots of credit for having Derby in 6th place. In recent weeks, I've learned what a Frank Lampard team is, and they've had some really, really nice results. Just a shame they couldn't get to the international break. Took that defeat against Villa, so time to regroup for them. It looks good for them. Expectations, though, for him and for Derby are always high, so he's got to stay in that playoff mix. If he does, first season in management, what a good job that is. And another first full season in management for my number 6, Darren Moore of West Brom. Now, I'm a bit unsure about Darren Moore. I think I know what a Frank Lampard team is. Not entirely sure what a Darren Moore team is. I thought it was a kind of free-scoring, happy-go-lucky team. Barnes, Gale and Rodriguez banging those goals in. They got the favourites tag put on them, and then horrible run recently, 4-game winless run. And you'd start to question, okay, this new manager, has he just got some relegated Premier League players getting him through this? But he's the one that puts the team out, and they got the goals. Presumably they're following his instructions. They're up in 5th place. The Championship is hard. If you're not up to it, you'll drift way down. So he's obviously doing something right, but very high standard of player, some of the West Brom players. So he would need to stay up there, and we're going to learn more about him as we go, literally, if you'll excuse the pun. Top 5 now in 5th place. Mr. Steve McClaren, QPR. And he's already had this mini kind of narrative, only in 17 games. Terrible start, leaking goals left, right and centre. 7-1 defeat at Darren Moore's West Brom. And he's written off left and right. Everyone's saying McClaren's finished. He's done. Favourite for the chop. What does he do? In comes Cameron in front of the back four. Simplifies the tactics. Solidifies everything. Wells and Hemed. Good recruitment. Good tactics. 9 wins in 15 games. That's great management to assess the situation, act with recruitment and tactically, and then win games of football. Excellent work from McClaren. And I think given the spend of Rangers compared to others, top 10 would be a great job for them. Number 4, Marcelo Bielsa of Leeds United. So this is like the perfect appointment. The kind of chaotic managerial god goes to the chaotic cult-like club in Leeds. Always going to be fun. Lots of people said he'll either finish first or will be out by October. Well, he's lasted past October, and Leeds made a great start with these legendary preparation methods that we hear all about of team shape and press and all this stuff. He's taken a team. This is what we can't forget about Leeds. I know they're a big club and they've now got a big name. They haven't actually invested in that many players into the squad compared to the team that finished 13th last season. And they've been a consistent fixture in the top 6. So he's immediately just taken them straight from the middle and put them into the top 6. And another caveat is that Bamford, who was his big sign-in, has been out injured most of the season and he's not going to be back for a while. His tactics are innovative and fun. He gets the other manager thinking. I like Phillips as a sweeper. Hernandez, great player. Alioski as a wing-back. I hadn't seen these things last season. My only question is, and I say this on my review shows, have they beaten anybody yet on top of their game? You only beat what's put in front of you, but it seems to be a bit of flat track bullying. But they're up there, they're third. Are they going to go up from third into the top 2 or down into the playoffs or even worse, still lower? I think currently, though, he's done a great job and we mustn't forget 13th up to third. Pretty impressive stuff. My number 3, Tony Pulis, Middlesbrough. This is a really, really hard one because I think people look at Pulis and Borough with their money and their kind of status and, you know, it's a bit spoil sport-ish type thing. And there's always this sense that with those players and that club that they could do a bit more. But if you take this as a very, very simple sporting challenge, get Middlesbrough promoted, one job, well, he's doing it at the moment, whether you like it or not. Only lost 2 games of the season so far, and if the season stops now, job done, promotion. Clear strategy. We know the philosophy. Monstrous defence. People like Shotton, Flint, Bath, Randolph in goal, Friend. Such knowledge and experience and power at the back. And they're basically saying, look, you're not going to score against us. I think they've only conceded 8 goals in 17 games, which is incredible. It's not that fun to watch, but I keep saying there's no outstanding team in the Championship so far this season. It's going to work, and they're second, so let's see how it plays out. Certainly, though, if they don't go up, that will be a below expectations finish from Mr. Pulis. Only 2 to go. You probably guessed who they are. My number 2, Chris Wilder, Sheffield United. Look, the Blades were in League One 2 seasons ago. They came up, they had a great start last season and then kind of regressed into the middle of the table. But now they're just stabilised in the top 6, often in the top 2. And so that's a real credit to Chris Wilder. The recruitment, really, really strong. Egan, centre half, Norwood, deep line playmaker, Henderson, the keeper on loan, McGoldrick, right down the middle of the team. All those players in the first team, and they've all improved it, every department there. So good work, not spending a fortune as well. And look, the football's great. 3 centre-backs, wing-backs flying forward, spare centre-back, Basham or O'Connell, Norwood playmaking, then Duffy dribbling, Fleck box-to-box, McGoldrick skillful. Really, really good to watch. I know Mr. Pulis would say, well, I'm second and they're not with my football, but I know where I'd rather have a season ticket, put it that way. Great job by Chris Wilder. Again, like, say, a Birmingham, I think more depth than Birmingham, but you would worry if a Norwood, for instance, got injured or a Henderson in goal. You know, see how that would look. So we're there. My number 1, Daniel Farke, Norwich City. Wow, and this is an Ipswich fan saying that. Look, Norwich finished 14th last season. Parachute money over. Maddison and Murphy sold. They should be nowhere near the top of the league when you see what they're competing with. But the league table says they are the best team in the league. They've won the most games and they've just been on a superb run through all of September, October, November. As I've said in the review videos, twice they've done a 3-game week and scored 9 points. That's great consistency, great character. Recruitment, you know, none of these are anywhere near the level of Maddison, but Pukki, Buendia, Leitner, Krul, Rose, all in the first team and contribute. And that's a big turnaround and they're all in and they're all playing well, especially Pukki and Leitner. And the football is good. They keep passing the ball. They play through the thirds. Leitner has got those top pass stats. Us Ipswich fans mocked Harrison Reed and all his pass completion, and then they would still lose last season. They seem to have got more championship savvy this season, winning the tight games, sorting out the set plays. So Daniel Farke has to be my number 1 manager. I said Bielsa took Leeds from 13th to 3rd. Farke has taken Norwich without their best player from 14th to 1st. We will see how it pans out. You've got to say there's teams with more spending money, more squad depth, but the league table does not lie. The best team will finish at the top of it, and after this 17 games, Norwich would appear to be the best team and certainly the best managerial performance there. So that concludes my list. I hope you've kept up. Like I said at the start of the video, it's all a bit of fun. I've tried to justify where I've put everybody. If you disagree, that's great, that's fine, you're entitled to. Like I say, keep it polite, and in the comments, just tell me why. You know, because I might change my mind if you convince me. Don't just give me, I support so-and-so, my manager should be higher because I like him. That's not going to work. That's not going to win a debate, is it? Right, I hope you've enjoyed the video. On a normal championship week, there would be a predictions video, a review video, match review, normally of Ipswich, but I often get to other games as well. So we're going to try and bash out some other content this season. Do say in the comments if there's any type of list video you'd like to see, and I'll try and knock that out during these 2 weeks before we get to the madcap rush. That is the Christmas period. 9 games for all the teams in about 5 or 6 weeks. So exciting times ahead. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to get involved in the comments, please do so. Always interested in opinions of people who watch these teams every week. I do not. If you enjoyed it, really do me a solid here. Subscribers going up every week, so please give me a subscribe and follow me on Twitter @BenjaminBloom. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon.